What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the TCG Empire YouTube channel. Today we're going to be taking a look at Arceus Goodra. So if you guys don't know, Arceus Goodra is a deck that comes in and out of the format. It's really dependent on what the format looks like, and in a very heavy Charizard meta, Goodra is a great attacker, so we'll get right into that and explain why. But the essence of the deck is Arceus VSTAR, Trinity Nova, as we looked at before, 200 damage. Search your deck for 3 basic energy and attach them to your Pokemon V. And then you have its V-Star power with Starbirth. During your turn, you can search your deck for up to any 2 cards, put them into your hand, and then shuffle your deck. And you can only use it once per game, but it's very strong. So Arceus V-Star is the engine that really helps power up Goodra. And then we have Hisuian Goodra V-Star itself. So 270 HP, Rolling Iron, 200 damage. During your opponent's next turn, this Pokemon takes 80 less damage from attacks. Then you have Moisture Star. During your turn, you can heal all damage from this Pokemon, and it's only once per game, so depending on your matchup, you have to choose between using Starbirth and Moisture Star. But this card is overall really strong against things like Ancient Box, where their damage is really awkward because they really don't take 1 shots, they take 2 shots. You can use Rolling Iron to reduce their damage by 80, which means that they hit more awkward numbers. If you're playing against things like Charizard, it means that this Goodra can take out a Charizard, and maybe even 2 if you're able to use Moisture Star. The reason for this is because if you have 6 prizes, Charizard is dealing 180, so if you Rolling Iron first, reduce by 80, they hit you for 100, and then Rolling Iron takes the KO, you've taken 2 prizes, then you're at 4, and then Charizard will be doing 240 damage minus 80, which only puts them at 140 damage, which means that this Goodra stays alive through that attack. And then if you have access to Moisture Star, you get to just heal all that damage off, take a knockout on another Zard, and your opponent only deals 140 damage. So it's super strong. Now, most of the time you won't use Moisture Star. There's very niche situations where it comes up, but most of the time and every time you're going to be using Rolling Iron because it's a very strong attack and limiting damage is great. And 270 for some decks is already kind of awkward to hit. With having 270 HP and reducing 80, you effectively have 350 HP for one-shots, which means that things like Lugia have to attach 7 energy to take a knockout on Goodra with attacking with the Cinccino. So overall it's super strong, and I think in the meta it's super good to run right now. Being paired with this, we do have a 1/1 line of a Alolan Vulpix V-Star. It's similar in the sense that it's good into Charizard, but it's also good against things like Qianpao. Really any deck that is ability based. The reason for this is Snow Mirage for a Water and 2 colorless, 160 damage. This attack isn't affected by any effects in your opponent's active Pokemon, so it's technically a shred attack. But also during your opponent's next turn, this Vulpix doesn't take any damage from attacks from Pokemon that have an ability. The only way that this resets is if your opponent uses something like Prime Catcher and then plays Boss's Orders to bring up the Vulpix, or if they use something like Counter Catcher plus Boss, that'll turn off the effect and reset the condition on Vulpix, as well as Goodra. But most of the time, when you're playing cards that disrupt your opponent, like Iono, or you're playing cards like Judge, it can be really hard for them to get out of the situation, so it's super strong. Now, speaking of disruption, we're playing Eerie, just 1 copy, just because with this deck having a hard time against Boss plus Counter Catcher or Prime Catcher, Eerie can help you to discard those resources that your opponent may be holding, so that way they can't get out of the lock. And then we are also playing 4 Iono as well as 4 Judge, just so that way we have some draw support but can disrupt our opponent while we're trying to set up. We have 3 Boss's Orders for the Gust effect, and then as I said, the A-Spec we're using is Prime Catcher, just because it does allow for us to potentially bring up a target and bring up something from the bench that we want. And then we're also running 2 Mist Energy. Mist Energy, you don't really see in any Arc decks. You see it in Lugia, but Mist Energy is really strong because with the Mist Energy, it means that things like Roaring Moonix can't use Frenzied Gouging to take an instant knockout. Against Lost Box, your opponent can't place damage counters on things like Goodra, so it's super solid and provides a very strong effect in the matchups where Goodra shines. So that's pretty much it. The last card is Lake Acuity. It's just a stadium that we play, so that way all of your Pokemon with any water energy attached take 20 less damage from your opponent's attacks. So because we play water energy, Lake Acuity is an inclusion that just kind of helps add to the bulkiness of what Goodra can do. So that's pretty much it for the talking of the list. As always, the deck list will be posted right here, so you guys have a full clean view of it. And in the description will also be the exact 60 I used in today's video, if you guys want to copy and paste it into Pokemon Trading Card Game Live and try it for yourself. But I do want to say thank you guys for all of the love and support on last week's videos. I'm very happy to be back, and I'm hoping to keep up a consistent schedule, so thank you for everything. If you guys do enjoy today's video, do me a favor, smash the like button, subscribe, turn on post notifications. Let me know down below what you guys think of Art Goodra or Lost Goodra, really anything that involves Goodra, or any fun decks that you might think would be cool to showcase on the channel. But that's pretty much it, guys. So again, thank you for everything, enjoy the gameplay, and I'll catch you tomorrow. Later. Alrighty, guys, so let's get into the first game with Arc Goodra. Hopefully our setup is not atrocious, and this setup is pretty atrocious. Right as I say that, I jinx myself, but we'll see if we can get out of it. So we are playing against Ancient Box, and this hand is not gonna do it for what we want to do. So honestly, we'll just detach and pass. My opponent needs to get, let's see, they need 220 minus 70, that's 160, so they need, or I'm sorry, 150, so they need 15 ancient cards turn 1 to take a knockout, and that's with attach plus Sada plus a switch as well. So I don't think they're going to be doing that, so that's fine. Off my judge, if I can hit something like a switch, arc, and a DTE, it's a lot to ask for, but it's definitely something that would be nice. And if we use Slip and Tide, it's awkward because then we kind of lose the ability to keep this Koraidon trapped in the active. So now my opponent can do Primal Beatdown, which is a good attack, but it's not going to be enough to deal a one-shot to anything. So there's the Radiant Greninja. Kind of want to risk it and hit the Pokestop, but it's going to be too lackluster for what I want to do. The nice thing though is that if we decide to attach and then my opponent doesn't attack this turn, we can potentially set up a Goodra in the active just to wall some damage and go from there. So there's the Explorer's Guidance, so there's no attack this turn. And my opponent has, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's the attach return, so no damage being done. Shred is scary, so definitely have to be wary of that. But what I can do now is actually Nest Ball, and then grab the Arc, and then the following turn, get the VSTAR, switch DTE, and play Judge. I don't hate that. So we'll go Arc, attach, and then we're just going to pass. If my opponent takes a knockout, it's unfortunate, but it's definitely not end all be all. So there's Flutter Mane. The only annoying thing is that if my opponent plays Fire Energy for whatever reason, Shred again is annoying, but let's see, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 now in the discard. So my opponent's not taking a knockout, which is great. I'm perfectly okay with that. But what I need to hope is that I can get another Goodra set up, because this one's going to have damage on it. And unfortunately, I do have to use the VSTAR, so... There's the concealed cards. Double checking 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So yeah, my opponent's not taking a one shot right now, so we're good in that sense. There's the future booster energy capsule. Going to be a little bit annoying just because Arc won't be able to take a knockout, but it will be fine. So we get a water energy. Again, not going to do us too much. So let's evolve into the VSTAR, play Judge, see what we get, put my opponent to 4 cards. So we get Bib, Ultra Ball, Mist Energy, all that fun stuff. So we're going to Starbirth. Starbirth can grab us. Let's see. We'll grab the Switch and the DTE. And then let's see. If I can hit a Nest Ball off of this, that'd be huge. Okay, Nest Ball and Ultra Ball. That's fine, but I just got rid of my other Goodra, so that's a little bit annoying, but we can go full swinging with Arcs in this matchup too. Goodra's not the only thing that we have to worry about, so go Nest Ball for another Arc, DTE, Switch, and then we can even go Ultra Ball, get rid of Ultra Ball and I guess Mist Energy. My opponent could technically use X-Hurl, but there's not too much I need to worry about with that. So we can go here and we can just grab the I don't hate grabbing Bidoof here, just so that way I can draw next turn. I do have access to Judge. Let's see. My Vacuum is in deck, so I am able to take a knockout by discarding this capsule. So that's fine. So let's go Trinity Nova. And then we can just go 1, 2, 1. We can put 1 here and then 2 here, just so that way either way the Arc and the Goodra are both set up to attack. And then next turn we have access to Bib and Judge, which means that we can potentially start dealing some good amount of damage and then go from there. And then after the fact, we can potentially put my opponent behind if we can hit Super Rod and the other piece to get the other Goodra out. We still have 1 water in the deck too, which is huge. I just need to find Super Rod and a way to get the Goodra out, whether it be Super Rod and then draw into it, or Ultra Ball. But ideally that's what we want to do, and then if we can find Vacuum too, that'd be great. So interesting. Superior energy retrieval, I respect it. Discards 2 cards from your hand, so it allows you to get some energy back. But let's see. My opponent, I don't think is going to be able to take a knockout. Yeah, just 200. So we have some things that we can work with this turn now, and we get the Goodra too, so that's great. We can go Bib. I'm gonna Bib and then Judge. We get Prime Catcher. We also get Lake Acuity. So let's see, Lake Acuity plus Goodra's, it's technically minus 100. So my opponent would need to hit 210. Right now they just hit 200. I don't really like that. So we're going to keep this arc active. And then we're just going to go for the Judge. See what we can hit. Alright, we get the Vacuum, which is huge. We also get Ultra Ball. I'm not really too worried about that right now. Let's see. So we'll put Mist Energy on Goodra, and then we can just go into the Vacuum. Get rid of my opponent's Ancient Booster Capsule. That way we can get 2 prizes. We'll be ahead on the prize race, which means that we have the initiative going into the future turns. So we can just hit for 180. And I'm going to keep this water in the deck just because I do have the water in my hand so I can attach. But then if I hit Super Rod, then I gain the ability to power this arc up as well. So we did put 2 more ancient cards in the discard, so my opponent can potentially take a knockout. But they are down 3 capsules, which means at most they have 1 more. And with a manual attachment to this arc of not being a DTE, we are able to hit for 200 and take a knockout on the moon. So there's the Earthen Vessel, getting 2 more dark. My opponent's really running low on cards to work with. There's a Sada. There's the dark. And there is the Vengeful Fletching. Or, sorry, Vengeance Fletching. So we'll go into Arc here, attach, and then hopefully hit the VSTAR. If we don't, it's no biggie. So another DTE. Attached to Arc. I could burn this boss, but I do have access to cards like Iono, and I kind of want to potentially use them. So we'll just go Industrious Incisors. We have access to Iono. We also have access to Super Rod, which is great. This means that we can potentially power up another Goodra. So we can just put these 3 back just so that way I'm likely to see them. And then we can go Iono, put my opponent down to 4. I draw 4. We get the Arc VSTAR, which is great. I should have probably done that in a little bit of a different order, but it's okay. And then we can Nest Ball, grab the other Goodra. And then now we're looking pretty good. We're hitting 200, so if my opponent capsules, we're fine. And then we have the energy here. And we also have the DTEs in deck, so we can still power up this Goodra. Which means after the next couple of turns, my opponent's going to really struggle with Goodra. So they're not taking 1 shots, they're taking 2 shots. And then by that time, it's going to be kind of rough for my opponent to be able to set up. So my opponent has to find a Dark Energy plus a Sada in order to fully power up their board. I don't think they're going to be attacking this turn. We may even be in a winning spot to where they end up conceding. But there might be something that they can do. So there's a Counter Catcher. Definitely annoying with the Bib, but it's not terrible. We do have access to playing some cards plus playing our own Bib, and we do have access to the boss as well. So what we can do is boss up, attach, draw. So yeah, that's fine. So we'll go Bib. We'll just bring up the moon. We'll draw 2 just so that way I can hope to hit the DTEs. Or Iono. Iono works too. So we'll attach, and then now there's not really much my opponent can do. They have 7 cards left in deck. We can retreat the Bib next turn as long as we find the energy. So there's the draw 3. There's the dark energy, so my opponent can attack. Props to them for being able to do so. They did get rid of the energy that's on Bib, which means that I kind of have less to work with, but with them only taking a single prize, now they're going to be awkward prize math and have to KO 2 big Pokemon, and we are pretty much going to be able to seal the game. So now with playing Sada, they didn't play boss, which means that everything on the bench is free. We saw that their A-spec is the Awakening Drum, so interesting. So they do have Counter Catcher. I don't think that that's enough to take a KO. It's gonna be hard to count. Let's see. Let's go all. So, okay, we'll go Pokemon. So that's 3, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. 18, 19, 20, 21. So my opponent is KOing Arc right now, at least if my counting is correct. But we're just going to be able to send up Goodra. My opponent isn't going to be able to respond to it. So there's the attack from the Moon, KOing the Arc. And my opponent has one card left in deck. Now if they have access to boss, that's kind of tricky. So let's see. Well, no, they can't boss plus also set up a Moon at the same time. So I'm safe to go into this Goodra. And then we have access to Sharon's Care as well. So we'll Iono just so that way I can not have to worry about really anything that my opponent has going for them. And then we'll use the Industrious Incisors just to draw a couple more cards. We get Arc as well as Sharon's Care. Not going to do the most. Let's see. If my opponent ends up attacking with Koraidon, they can't take a knockout either, because even if for some miracle they fill up their bench, they'll be doing they'll be doing, if I can click, 30 times, so that'd be 150, but minus 80, so that's 70. That only puts us at 230, and even if my opponent plays something like Defiance Band, it'll only be 10 damage because we are even on prizes, so I definitely could see the Sharon's Care being something like a Turo, just so that way I could Turo this Goodra back and not have the 160 on it, but there's no worry for that right now. And we do have access to the Prime Catcher as well, meaning that we can Prime Catcher up this Moon. But then I run into the issue of not having a whole lot to work with. My opponent has 4 cards in deck. I could Iono and give them 2. And then hope to hit the energy plus the evolution. And my opponent ends up conceding. So they probably ran out of resources. The end game right there was probably going to be something along the lines of using Prime Catcher in combination with hoping to hit the energy to retreat. The energy to attack. Or go from there, but we just needed 1 energy and we would have been able to retreat manually off the barrel, so it wouldn't have been horrible, but it definitely would have been tricky if we didn't. But I think that's pretty much it. Art Goodra definitely puts in work. It's very tanky when it needs to be. The only thing that you have to worry about is Prime Catcher plus boss, which can be a little bit annoying. Just like the old times of Escape Rope plus boss, so definitely keep that in mind. But if you guys did enjoy today's video, do me a favor, smash the like button, subscribe, turn on post notifications. Let me know down in the comments below what you think of Art Goodra. And with that being said, thank you for everything, and I'll see you tomorrow. Later.